Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly, and welcome to this video in which we are going to look at 5 golf rules you need to know. We're going to cover everything from how you manage your scorecard, what you do if you hit your ball into a bit of bother and you need to take a drop, what you do in the bunker, and a few other things aside. Right, let's head out onto the golf course here at West Hill and look at the 5 golf rules you need to know. Okay, so number 5 on our list relates to the bunker. And Jez, what's the single most important thing that people should remember when they're going to the sand?
I think the single most important thing is that there are certain things you can't do in a bunker that you can do elsewhere on the course.
Yes.
And those typically include what you do with your club around your ball. You can't ground the club behind the ball.
Just ground the club there and start the swing from there. That's against the rules.
You can't catch the sand on your backswing. That would still be a penalty.
Yeah, so ultimately you have to hover the club behind the ball and then make your swing from there. It's only a small thing, but make sure you don't get that wrong.
And you can't, as you would do elsewhere, of course, take a practice swing just beside the ball and hit the sand. You can take an air shot practice swing if you want to, but you can't hit the sand on a practice swing. Yeah,
you'll see lots of tour players making practice swings in bunkers, but they won't be hitting anything. They'll just be effectively doing that as just like an air shot. Yeah. Jez, there have been a few changes to the rules relating to bunkers since the revisions came in 2019. What are they?
Well, the main one is that you can now remove loose impediments.
Okay.
So before you weren't allowed to touch twigs, acorns, leaves, anything like that. Now you can. Yep.
These twigs, that's right to go.
I mean, there was sometimes a local rule, most often there was a local rule that allowed you to remove stones.
Yes.
And that was primarily from a safety perspective. You don't want to be having stones flying up into your face.
Fly up into your face.
But one thing that hasn't changed is that if you move a loose impediment and the ball moves, you're still penalised in the bunker just as you would be in the general area of the course.
Okay. Now, when you're taking your stance in the bunker, you are allowed to shuffle your feet in.
Yeah.
Something that, again, you'll see a lot of tour players doing. That's fine, just to give you that stability that you need.
Rules actually say digging in with your feet, so it does allow you quite a bit of leeway there.
Yeah. Is there anything else we need to know? What about if your ball's unplayable?
Yeah. So let's say your ball's up here.
Plugged in the face.
Plugged in the face, completely unplayable. Well, not in the face, just in the bit just before the face.
Fine. In the sand.
Completely unplayable. Okay, you might have a go at it, but let's just say you've decreed it unplayable. You now have a 4th option available. In the past, there was the typical 3 options. You could go back to where you last played from, 2 club lengths within the bunker, but it might well plug, or back on line, flags over there, as far as you like, but within the bunker, those are all under penalty of 1 stroke.
Yes.
You couldn't go outside the bunker on the going back on line option. Now you can do that, but it's a 2-shot penalty.
Ouch.
So it's quite costly, but for some people it might be the best option.
The benefit is that when you drop it, it's not going to plug. The downside is it's going to cost you 2 shots. I have never seen anyone take that option, but I guess if you're somebody who is particularly who struggles, particularly in the sand, maybe that is the best option for you.
Yeah.
I think that covers us, does it, Jez? That's about it for the bunker?
I think that's it. There may be the odd technicality we've missed, but those are the essentials that we think you need to know.
Okay, should we have a go at this?
35 yards, if you get it within 10 feet, I'll consider that a good shot.
Yeah, it's tricky, this shot. Well, I was always going to catch it a bit heavy, but it's on the green.
I'm afraid that is still 40 feet away and indefinite 3-putt country.
Okay, so we're going to talk about taking a drop away from an immovable obstruction like we're on here, a pathway, or an abnormal course condition, right?
That's
Jez?
right, ACC, which would include things like ground under repair or areas of temporary water, as it's now called. That used to be called casual water.
Yes.
Now called temporary water. So things like that.
Yeah, so in this scenario here, definitely want to be taking a drop. It's a pathway, loads of stones on it. But nearest point of relief is only 1 spot, isn't it? Now, in this scenario, you might be tempted to wander over to this side of the path.
Yeah, better angle into the green.
Or the lie might be better.
Yeah, the lie might be better. Not in this case, but it might be.
But it might be. But the truth is, your nearest point of relief is over here.
And then beyond that, you might see a little tuft here that you think, well, that'd be nice. And you address it here. Your feet are still on the path, you haven't taken complete relief, and it is now called nearest point of complete relief.
Yeah, so remember that one, your feet have to be off the condition that you're looking to take the drop away from. So in this scenario, I'm coming over to this side. Jez, what club do I need to be using to figure out
Right.
where my
So
nearest
there's
point
a little
is.
bit of confusion here because people think everything is a club length now and that is the driver. But at this point, you are, if you look in the definitions of the rules of golf, you see it says estimating the reference point from where you then take the subsequent measuring. You have to identify the choice of club, stance, swing and line of play you would use for the stroke. So you could say to me, I would use driver from here, and I would say, you're not great with driver off the deck.
Especially for muddy line.
And we're talking about, 2 or 3 inches difference.
Yeah, but it's a second shot to a par 5. It would be a hybrid shot. I'm off the pathway.
Yeah. So this is now
it's
your
about
reference
here.
point, just here.
Fine.
And it's now from this point that the club length comes in, and that is the longest club you're carrying other than the putter, so your driver.
You then get to mark a sort of an arc.
Not nearer the hole.
Not nearer the hole. You roughly will know where you want to drop it based on the lie. I reckon over there is the best lie.
Yeah.
Second tee peg down there.
Okay.
And then anywhere within that area is good for me. So.
And it's worth stressing you don't have to, the rules do not oblige you to mark it out with tee pegs, but it's obviously a pretty good idea to do so.
Yeah, it's just going to save you a little bit of confusion and just make sure that you clear it up and do it in as sort of precise a way as possible.
Yeah.
And now my ball is in play. As you can see, I'm well clear of the path, got no issues with that, and I can carry on.
Let me just give you
golf.
the club with which you said you were going to play the shot.
Yeah, I've not dropped it in a great area.
No, but it's not, there aren't many great areas here, but that's the thing with nearest point of complete relief, it's not nicest. It's not giving you a guaranteed good lie, it's just getting you away from the obstruction or condition from which you're entitled to take relief.
You found yourself in. Yeah, hopefully that gives you a good idea about what to do the next time you find yourself in one of those scenarios out on the course. Okay, so one rule every golfer needs to know is this one. It relates to the provisional ball. Jez,
yes.
What is a provisional ball?
Well, it's a ball you hit in case you don't find the first one. So you've hit the first one into a spot of bother, not sure you're going to find it. If you didn't play a provisional ball and didn't find it, you've then got to walk all the way back here. The rules allow you to hit a provisional ball so that if you don't find the first one, you don't have to come all the way back.
It's going to save you time. It's just one of those things. It's well worth doing anytime you think you might be in a spot of bother. Now, what do you have to say? Can you just grab a ball from your bag, tee it up and hit, or do you have to say anything?
You do have to make it clear that you're hitting a ball provisionally. You typically would use the word provisional ball, but you don't have to say that.
Okay.
You could say I'm proceeding under the rule 18.3 in the rule book. Not many people say that.
No.
But in fact, if you delve into the interpretations, phrases like I'm going to hit another one just in case is actually deemed acceptable. Anything that implies there is doubt as to whether you're going to find the first ball.
Yes.
What you can't do is just say I'm going to reload, I'm going to hit another. That's not considered enough.
No, and that's the sort of thing that can happen, especially if the red mist has descended slightly, you're a bit angry about the shot you've hit. It's quite easy to suddenly say, oh, I'll hit another one, and then that's not clear that the second one is a provisional ball, in which case that ball that you just hit becomes the one in play, even if you find the first.
Even if you find the first one in a perfect spot, you wouldn't be allowed to play that under the rules. One thing worth adding is that you can play the provisional ball until you get to the point where the original ball is believed to be. So you don't have to keep going back and forth. Even then, if you don't hit a very good provisional, it's 100 yards short of where your original ball is believed to be. You can play that provisional ball until you pass the point where the original ball is believed to be.
Yeah, and then if you find your first ball, it doesn't matter if it's in a completely unplayable position, that first ball becomes the ball in play. The provisional no longer exists, does it?
It doesn't. There's no choice between which ball you play. You can't get up there and think, well, the first one's horrible, I'll just play the provisional. Once you find the original, you have to proceed under the rules in relation to that original ball. The provisional ball is irrelevant.
Yeah, so it can get a little bit complicated in places, but ultimately the provisional ball rule is there to help you save a bit of time. We would advise you to use it whenever you think it might be needed. Okay, so the next one on the list relates to your scorecard. It's really important to get this part right because very simple mistakes, we've all done them, can lead you to be ultimately disqualified, which you really want to avoid. Jez, what are the things that you need to look out for?
Okay, well the first thing to mention is that you don't mark your own card, someone else marks it for you, your marker. And all they're doing is recording your gross score on each hole. They will typically mark their own score down as well, so there can be some cross-referencing. But they only have to put your gross score down, they don't have to put your net score, they don't have to put your Stableford points in a Stableford, they don't have to do the maths, the addition, none of that. All they have to do is mark your gross score. You are signing just for those gross scores on each hole. You sign the scorecard. You have to make sure your marker signs the scorecard, and if for whatever reason you've had 2 markers during a round, someone's got injured or whatever, each has to sign, if someone's lost the will to live in your company or whatever, each has to sign the element of the scorecard they're responsible for. You have to make sure your name is on it, you have to make sure the correct handicap is on the card, and when you've done all that, return it promptly after the round.
Sounds like a fairly lengthy checklist, but you'll get into the swing of it. It's pretty easy. It always makes sense, doesn't it, Jez, to sit down after the round and just go through each hole individually. Just go 4, 5, 5, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, with the other person on their scorecard, just to make sure that all the numbers tally.
Especially if you had a good score.
Especially if you've had a good score, because you really don't want to come a cropper if you've had a good game of golf.
No. Now, the big errors to avoid are a score on a hole lower than that which you actually took.
Yes.
If you sign for that score, I'm afraid that's it for the round for you. You will be disqualified.
Ouch.
Even
if you've added the whole thing up and the total comes to the right number, you still get disqualified if you sign for a 4 on a hole where you should have signed for a 5. You're going to be in trouble for that.
I think it happened to Andy Sullivan recently. He signed for a 3 and a 5 on 2 holes where he'd actually made 4 on 4.
Right.
So the overall score looked right to him, but because those 2 were wrong and one of them was lower than the score he'd taken, he got disqualified.
Feels a bit harsh, but those are the rules.
Those are the rules, and the other way, if you sign for a score higher than that which you've taken, then that's just your tough luck, I'm afraid. You've signed for a score. You haven't effectively cheated the field by signing for a lower score inadvertently.
Yeah.
You've signed for a higher score, you've cheated yourself.
Yeah, but you don't get disqualified.
You don't.
But the higher score stands, doesn't it?
Similarly with handicaps, if you mark a handicap down that is too high for you, or you don't put a handicap on the card in a handicap event, you will be disqualified. If you put a handicap that is too low, the only person you're cheating is yourself, and the score would stand.
Yeah, so keep a close eye on what your handicap's doing. If you've had a recent round of golf where you think you've been cut or you think you might have gone up, check it before you go and play. That's where situations can arise that problems. What happens, Jez, if, let's say I've made a mistake, let's say I've put you down for a 5 when you've actually made a 4, what's the best way of kind of rectifying that error before you start?
Well, all you've got to do is just cross it out and put the right number, and you don't have to initial the scorecard. A lot of people do, but that's not compulsory.
I've always done that.
No, well,
I didn't realise that actually that was something that you didn't have to do.
It's one of those myths, I think, and it's not a bad practice, but it's not essential.
Okay, well there you have it. That's everything, hopefully, you need to know about the scorecard. Sounds complicated, it really isn't. It's just a few simple things you need to do after a round of golf to make sure everything's spot on. If it is, you're fine. So number 1 on our list is an unplayable ball. This is where my tee shot has finished on the 18th hole here at West Hill. A lonesome gorse bush has caused me a few problems here, Jez. What are my options?
Well, okay, the first thing is to just clarify that you are the sole judge as to whether the ball is unplayable. You can always play it if you want to and not play it if you don't want to.
Yes.
But obviously, to not play it involves penalty strokes.
Yeah, often, myself included, I come unstuck when I think I can play a ball that I definitely can't.
Yeah.
In this scenario, there's absolutely no way to play this. So what can I do in this particular scenario?
Well, there are 3 options once you've decided you're not going to play it, all under penalty of stroke, and if you decide to go back to the tee and play again, stroke and distance. So you're giving up the whole of the distance.
3 off the tee.
And it's a penalty shot as well, 3 off the tee. Your other 2 options are to drop it within 2 club lengths of where it's lying, not nearer the hole. Club length is the longest club you're carrying other than your putter.
Yep.
And when you're taking penalty drops, you get 2 club lengths.
I would always use a tee to mark the position of the ball.
Mark the position of the ball. And then there are places here where you could theoretically drop it and it wouldn't be too bad, but nothing particularly appealing here.
I'd say the problem is with this scenario is you're always going to be dropping it back in an area that doesn't give you a particularly free shot. So even marked out, even looking at this ground here, I think I'd probably want to go with a different option.
Okay,
Jez.
you don't want to go 210 yards back to the tee for one of your drives, Tappers?
310, I think.
So this is not appealing. Your other option is to keep that point between you and the flagstick, and then go back as far as you like on that line. And in this particular instance, you could go out onto the first fairway, have a nice lie, and play what would be your 3rd shot.
Definitely my preferred option, because it's about 50 yards behind where the camera is the first fairway, clear shot towards the green. It's not great, I'm not in great shape, but at least I can carry on and hopefully salvage a 5 or a 6.
I think generally you're going to be looking to not go back to the tee on these,
Yes.
if at all possible,
Yeah.
but sometimes it may actually be the only realistic option.
Exactly.
But in this instance, back on line is probably your best of the three.
Yeah, so if you find your ball in a particularly nasty spot, do consider the unplayable ball rule options. They're there to help you in this scenario. Don't plough on automatically, either trying to gouge the ball out sideways or advance it towards the green, because often that will result in you taking more shots in the long run. So there you have it, that's our list of the 5 golf rules you need to know. Guys, please do leave some comments below. Is there anything that you think we've missed? Any essential rules that you've sort of had to use quite a lot on the golf course? We'd be very interested to hear your thoughts, and it's a good opportunity to spread those ideas around amongst all those who are watching the videos. But for now, from West Hill, it's goodbye.